Store podcast, episode 11.
Yeah, episode 11, that's right.
Finally with Gabriela Fechter. Gabi, thanks very much to be with us today. I'm here, I'm Eduardo Diaz, a 4th degree black belt, a pioneer of Jiu-Jitsu in Australia, with Anton Minenko, one of the most Australia renewed, talented, upcoming Jiu-Jitsu practitioners and competitors. Thank you very much for being here with us today.
Thank you to inviting me. It was my pleasure. It's going to be awesome to share a little bit of my life with everyone. And I hope to be in Australia soon to meet everyone in person, talk a little bit with the girls. It's going to be amazing.
Paul, can't wait for that. We're going to talk about this a little bit soon we're going to be talking about this. But Gabi, can you tell us how did you start your journey in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? And where did you start it, and what make you start Jiu-Jitsu, please?
I was kind of trouble kid. I love putting myself into fights when I was a small girl, even being small because I was a bit, smaller for sure. But I was 15 years old. I had too much energy, and I remember that my mom went to a spinning class in the gym and with the bike and doing classes, and I went with her, and right beside her class there was a guy training jiu-jitsu. Back in time I still do, but I used to love UFC, so I kind of knew a little bit. I knew where an arm bar was, and he invited me to do a trial class. I did. I was white belt, didn't know anything else unless an armbar. And I trained with a girl, a blue belt, and I tapped her. It was really nice. I was from gymnastics, so I have a athlete body since I'm a kid. So it was kind of easy for me to coordinate my body. And the professor back in time got impressed. He was like, how? How you can do this just from watching? You have to start training. And then I asked my mom to start, and I start training in a really small gym close to my parents' house. I fell in love right away. I was doing 3 times a week, and then I asked to do every day.
Are you 15 years old when you were at that time?
15, yeah.
Okay.
The gym didn't support more than 3 classes a week. And I start searching for another gym close to my house, and I end up training with Leo Vieira. It was Brasa Jiu-Jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
So I turned 16. I start training with him. I compete as a white belt juvenile. I turned 16. I start training with Leo a lot, every day. And then I graduated a blue belt in 2007. So I was 17 when I graduated. It was awesome. This very start, it's when your eyes don't stop, shining for everything. It's just amazing. It was really nice.
So Gabriela, just going back a little bit before, a lot of the people we talk about on this podcast and talk with on this podcast, they always have a history of a lot of other sports. And just listening to the first part of your story about how you started jiu-jitsu, can we just go back and do more of an introduction? How did everything start? Can you just do a little bit more of an introduction of your early life, especially to do with gymnastics? Because something that we hear a lot is a lot of the athletes or individuals that even reach the level of black belt, they always have a really rich history of discipline and competing at a high level in other sports. Is that something that you kind of connect with as well?
I am. I started doing gymnastics when I was 4. I was, as I was saying, unstoppable kid. I used to just flip and jump all over. So my mom put me on gymnastics, and I did until I was 7. So I did 4 years training, 3 years training of gymnastics, 4 to 7.
Yeah.
and then I stop and I start playing soccer. I think everyone in Brazil needs to play soccer. So I played for 7 years, maybe. I did the trials for the Brazilian team when I was under 15, and I come back to gymnastics after this time. So I'm always related with sports since I'm really young. In gymnastics, I compete, but because of the shape of my legs, if I stand up, my knees doesn't touch each other. There is like a big hole between my legs. So every time I was doing the spinnings, the judge, the referee, used to take out points of me being
Penalizing.
penalizing me because of the shape of my legs, not because of the move.
Yeah.
So in that time, I understand that it would be impossible to keep doing gymnastics as a Olympic or as a professional. Yeah. I did just for fun because I really like to flip. But then I used the gymnastics to work in the circus. So I started training jiu-jitsu when I was 15, but I was already working in a local circus. So I had to mix jiu-jitsu and circus for a while. I moved to Canada only to do circus, so I had to stop jiu-jitsu for 1 year maybe. I didn't stop completely because I brought my gi with me, but I was training once a month, twice. But I'm always like, all my life was related with sports. And then I give up completely on doing circus when I was 24. That Ricardo Vieira I was in São Paulo working, and then he came to São Paulo to give a seminar. I went in his seminar, and he asked me, "What are you doing with your life?" I said, "I'm working with circus. I don't know." And then he asked me, "Hey, do you want to come to Rio de Janeiro and be a professional jiu-jitsu athlete?" And I said yes. So it was when everything changed. I give up on circus. I give up on everything, and I started doing jiu-jitsu only for being an athlete.
What level of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu were you at the time? So at 24, when you were asked to go and teach, were you already a black belt at that time?
No, I was a purple belt. I got my purple belt in 2013, and he invited me to go in 2014. So I moved there in the end of the year as a purple, and I start like training as much as I could. I thought that I was a good purple belt, but when I arrived there, I realized that I had to train a lot.
There's always more to learn, yeah. So were you competing already before that, before you were asked to go and teach and train there?
I did the Worlds as a juvenile, but the one in São Paulo. And then I compete as a juvenile white belt. When I turned to blue, I did my first tournament as an adult and blue belt. And I remember because I was like playing stand-up game, and the girl jumped in a fly arm bar, and I tap in 10 seconds. Was terrible actually, but I remember the girl's name, and eventually we could match each other, and I trained with her, and I told her this is because of the flying armbar. And I did another tournament as a blue belt after years because I was looking for my my purple belt, and I remember I did the trials to a DCC.
Okay.
And Leo, because you can choose, I didn't the professional one, you can choose like a beginner level or advanced level. I did the beginner level, and Leo was like, if you win and hurt someone, I'm gonna give you your purples. Like, but he was like being fun, like making fun of this. And I won, and I got my purple.
So when you like you nowadays, like you had many titles, you're a professional jiu-jitsu athlete, you have many titles under your belt. what advice would you give for female athletes that are just thinking about competing or just starting this journey of competing? What would be your advices to them?
To be honest, like my life changed after I won the world title in open class division, because it makes you believe that you can do it. You know, like so when people ask me about advices, the only thing that I need to say to everyone is to not give up. Because if you believe that it's going to be possible, it can be possible. How a girl with 53 kilos could be the world champion as like in an open class division? It's not common at all. But just because I believed and I was there, it worked. So for all the girls that are starting to compete, usually we are afraid of what people will think about it, like how my coach will, what he will think about me if I lose. He's gonna think that I don't deserve this belt. He's gonna think that I'm not training enough. So most of the people are concerned about what people will think about the people, you know, like what people will think about me. And this, it's what makes you afraid of going. So just don't think about this at all. Because as a coach, now I understand that I don't care if the person tapped in 10 seconds.
The last thing we're thinking is about that, you know. But when you're
The last
student,
thing.
when you're student, you think that everyone, oh my God, he's thinking about me because I tapped on this training or I didn't. Yeah, but that's the last thing we have. We're just happy that they go into the competition or they coming to train or they having a good time. Absolutely.
And this is my point, you know, because I start coaching in Fight Zone and going with everyone to the tournaments, because unfortunately, like the small tournaments in Rio, we don't have as many like black belts competing. And every time I put my name on it, there was no one. So I was much more as a coach than an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
And to see everyone going there and competing, for me, was awesome. And one of the guys looked at me and was like, I'm sorry, I lost in 10 seconds. I'm like, hey, it's okay. You just got your brown belt.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel ashamed. What do you think about me? Hey, don't worry. Like, people are so worried about this. And it's the last thing that we will think about it.
Sure. Indeed. Do you want to ask a question?
Yeah, so something that I want to kind of ask as well is like, what was your progress and like your experience like as you started becoming a coach and a more serious coach as well? Like, did you start off teaching like the kids classes or children's classes? How did that kind of journey kind of happen?
When I was a brown, I asked Ricardo to start teaching a girls' class, only for girls. So because I used to go with him in all his seminars, whatever where Ricardo go, I was going after him. I had a lot of experience on seeing how he teaches, or the way that he explained the situations, the way that he put the concept into the positions. So when I start teaching as a brown, only for girls, I was feeling really confident about it. And Ricardo moved out of Fight Zone in the end of 2017, and he needs someone to start teaching, and I was there. So eventually I start teaching only the girls and kids, and then the adults only at the night time, and then everyone, like even the athletes in the competition class. Yeah. It was amazing for me to have this opportunity as a girl, coaching and being a leader of a team. It was awesome. Of course, in the beginning, I had a lot of problems, because people think that because we are girls, we are not able to do it, or because I can't beat everyone from the gym because I'm small, I'm not able to be a coach. But I had time enough to prove myself, going with everyone for the tournaments, working as hard as I could, and showing that I have knowledge enough to understand jiu-jitsu, and doesn't matter who is there, I always helped, you know. So it was really nice progress. I think I grow a lot as a person, understanding that there is different ways to behave with the athletes. Because with me, it's okay, only porrada, you know? If Ricardo comes to me and start yelling at me, saying whatever, I can handle it. But eventually, I understand that people don't work in the same way. If I yell at a small girl, maybe she's not going to be able to come back. She's going to be frustrated. So I start understanding more about people.
Yeah.
I did a psychologist course for athletes to understand how they think, what should I do as a coach, what I can do as a coach. And it was a really nice experience. Like right now, I feel really comfortable about having my own gym and coaching my own students.
Yeah. It's an interesting kind of journey of anything, because when you start anything new, it's always unfamiliar or uncertain, and you start to learn everything as you kind of like go down that path. But it's just interesting for me to hear like, especially talking about you doing like a course to do with psychology and understanding how to communicate and stuff like that. And that's something that I think me in particular, having a very similar kind of idea of like of training and coaching, you know, competing in rugby and other things at a fairly high level as well. It's never about the person's feeling. It's about like the end goal. Now, that's great if you're an athlete as well, but for the, you know, the main majority of the gym or the general public that come here to train, like it's not really what they're here for. They're here for to enjoy and to, you know, build a bond and this kind of like brotherhood or family kind of scenario with, you know, other people that are on the same kind of journey as them, like learning themselves and learning jiu-jitsu. And that's something that I've always struggled with as well, you know, being just keeping in mind that their goal is not the same as mine, and that's okay. And you don't have to force them into growing or improving or whatever. They're going to take their own time to learn and get the things that they want out of jiu-jitsu and this scenario. But that's something that's interesting for me to listen to, particularly because that shows like a very deep sense of accountability to recognize that maybe I'm not doing well in this area, and you go and look for something yourself to go and do this course and like find a better way to do something so that everyone is better, everyone gets a better situation out of it. So that's really interesting to listen to, because I don't think many people like even high level coaches and stuff would be able to kind of like admit that or say that type of thing. So that's very interesting.
I understand that because I wasn't competing, because of the pandemic, I wasn't competing, I was only training. What started happening with me, I was competing against my students.
Yeah. Okay.
So if someone just is training more like flow, and I was going hard, I start like, what are you doing? Why you're losing your time? Why you're not training? So eventually I was like, hey, this is my problem. You know, I had to go deep inside of me and understand that I can't compete with my students. They, as you say, they need to have a good time. They will have their own time to learn. So because I was already in the pandemic, I couldn't do anything. I started looking for this, and I searched for an online communication course. It's like psychologist sports. And I did, and it was amazing because it improved so much the way that I talk with my students, the way that I understand their own time. You know, it was really nice. And it's I think this is more like a girl thing, that we are more able, sorry to say, but we are more able to see what we can develop and admit that we are not fully prepared and just search for something that can help us.
I'll challenge that. I think that most people in general are not comfortable with that, male or female. I think like the majority of people are, like you said before, they live this attitude that you talked about before, where they're afraid of, you know, being less than, or afraid of, you know, failing, or afraid of, you know, letting people down or letting themselves down. I think that's actually where it comes from. like I think there's only a small percentage of people that can take enough ownership of, you know, their flaws and their issues and actually do things about it. So I don't know if that's more men or women, but I just think it's a very small percentage of people overall. The greater majority just kind of put up with things or go by or ignore it. That's right. And yeah, it's just interesting to hear, you know, your perspective on that, because we've talked to a lot of different people, and this is something that always comes up. People that do well in life, people that do well in jiu-jitsu or as an athlete or a competitor, there's one thing that they all must have, and that's a deep sense of accountability for their issues, their flaws, their shortcomings. And that's the only way you get to that point in life or get to that level. So you have to acknowledge these, you know, failures or things that you suffer with and learn how to work on them and improve them. Yeah.
But Gabi, there's another fact as well. So as soon as you put yourself to a new challenge, right, which in your case was to teach started with the kids, and then suddenly you're in the Brazilian headquarters of one of the most famous gym in the world, which was in a male-dominated arena, right? I've trained there before. I know how it is, very super intense training, and I imagine how much challenge you have to kind of like cope to put yourself in that position. I started here ladies only classes maybe a year ago, and I challenged myself to be the coach, like to try deliver a little, but you have to do twists. There is change to be addressed, and you should be never satisfied. You should always, I think that's something very important for anything that you do in life. It could be a coach or a business or an athlete. You should never be satisfied with your results today. You always have to be pushing the boundaries. But people get pushed and like to be pushed, and answer to these pushes differently. So you have to be super sensitive to kind of touch people in different ways, you know?
Yeah.
That's the after 15 years of teaching, probably more, 20, that's where I started to understand, you know? I was when you're saying that you've been jumping, and before when you're doing the circus and when you start training, you jumping and flipping, I'm thinking, wow, that probably was a perfect marriage with Leonardo Vieira's style, you know what I mean? He probably got, oh my God, this is perfect, come over here, you know? Because
I still like to do a lot of flips during my fights.
Acrobatics, yeah, very acrobatic jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, they're super impressive, you know what I mean? Like, I think Leo Vieira, for example, at the time, I remember training, and Leo Vieira was a brown belt, and everyone I was training and he was training, and everyone that were training pretending they training to look at his training, you know what I mean? Because it was so amazing. I think his style was, at that time, I was not seen before, you know what I mean? Like, it was something completely out of magic, you know, kind of recreation of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, like for me, Leo and Ricardo, they are completely different in the perspective that they have about jiu-jitsu. The way that they see jiu-jitsu is completely different. But now the flips and everything got much more used. You can see Renato Canuto doing a backflip during a no-gi fight. Yeah. I had to watch that thing 1,000 times and was like, I need to do this. It was awesome. So you see much more often now the flips, but back in that time, I imagine that was something completely different and completely new. But even though when Leo and Ricardo are training together against each other, everybody does the same. We pretend that we are training, but everybody's watching.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear. But Gabi, what challenges did you face when you started jiu-jitsu? What challenges you're lightweight person? What were the challenges that you faced when you just started jiu-jitsu? Did you, because I probably, you wouldn't have many girls at the time to train with as well. So what were the challenges back then? And also into this question, I would like you to let us know about the scene of the female jiu-jitsu growth around the world. Like I know you're now in Ireland, you travel all over the world, teaching seminars, etc. So I just would like to see your view nowadays, please.
Okay, first, when I started in this small gym close to my mom's house, my parents' house, I was the only girl. The first challenge that I faced through was understand that nobody's touching my body on purpose. They need to touch my body to me be able to do a jiu-jitsu. So I was understanding much more the space because I didn't want it like people close to me, you know. I had a kind of like, this is my space, you're not allowed to come closer. And with jiu-jitsu, you understand much more about your body and about yourself, you know. Back in time, I understand that I had a lot of issues with my body. I didn't like the shape of my body because I was strong. So it was, I was facing these challenges when I was a teenager, that understand that it was okay to train and, you know, there was nothing wrong and with getting close and getting connect with someone. So for me in the beginning was awesome because I experienced this as a teenager, but I can see a lot of girls having the same trouble, you know, like first class, mount position, go to an armbar. Every girl is like, what? Mount? So yeah, now I understand much more on how to introduce a girl into the sport because I had the same issues when I started. This was a big challenge back in time. After I fell in love with jiu-jitsu, then it was easy to understand how the philosophy of the sport is. I had Michele Nicolini as a black belt. I think she was already a black belt training. So I had someone already to admire. When I moved to Leo's Vieira Academy, I had a lot of girls training back in time. So it was awesome. And Michele was there as a black belt. But when I moved to here, I had Caterine Furro, the one with the dreadlocks. She was a purple belt as well. So we kind of stayed together and did all the tournaments together, traveling together. And eventually she moved to America, and then it was only me. So I passed through this time when I was the only girl training with 50 kilos, and the lightest guys was like 70 kilos. So I had to learn how to feel pleasure again, because come on, we like when we won the roles. We like, come on. And I passed through a time that I was like during training, I couldn't feel great because all the technique that I was trying to learn didn't work. So I remember until
so much bigger and stronger and
yeah. So I remember until now, when the beating bolo came up, I started doing right away, and I could drill the technique, but I couldn't put into trainings because every time I put the De La Riva and I tried, the guys like smashed me. So eventually they had to learn how to train with me as well to help me to develop. But I was trying like 3 months in a row, only De La Riva, beating bolo, De La Riva, beating bolo, and nothing. And then I went to Sul-Americano as a brown belt. I went to a Sul-Americano tournament, and the first thing that I did, De La Riva, beating bolo, took the girls back, submit. So I felt really like proud of myself because you learn how to feel pleasure, and this took me a while. So now, even though if I'm training with someone, I start smiling. People ask, why you're smiling during training? Because I can tell you that the guys start playing easy because I'm small, because I'm light, because I'm a girl. And then eventually he can do anything. And then he start increase his strength during training. So I start smiling because for me is when I start winning the role, even losing. It's like, hey, okay, now he's getting interested because he needs to use his strength to win the round or whatever, pass my guard. So it was a progress. I remember crying every day in the mat, being frustrated.
Frustrated, yeah.
Thank you. About myself, about not developing, about not learning, about not being able to do anything. And then with time, I understand how will be my pleasure will be, you know, like here in Ireland, there's a lot of girls training, and it's awesome to have the opportunity to train with high level girls. I had this opportunity only when I was going to Worlds, because then all the girls from Checkmatch were training together, and it's really good. It's completely different to train with a girl because they are really flexible, they are fast as well. So it was nice. It's really nice when I have someone that is an athlete like Fion training with me every day. I can like learn a lot. It's really good.
You touch a really interesting point. We do ladies only class twice a week, and it's growing. Since we started doing that, like started to grow a lot the numbers. And what I observed is that became like a sanctuary. So they come in, they have like a WhatsApp group. So it really made a lot easier for them to start doing jiu-jitsu. And I really liked the point you made that it's actually a really good point for the girls with training between themselves. Becomes a lot easier to apply techniques and actually see your involvement in jiu-jitsu. And there are some girls that, and also then train with the guys, train with everyone. You know, it's great for everyone. Everyone gains out of this training. Everyone can be technical and know how to train regardless your weight. That's a super ultimate goal in jiu-jitsu, I guess. But
it's an important lesson to learn. Yeah.
It's important lesson to learn. But I guess like it's super important having, I found it here at least, like having these ladies only as because jiu-jitsu, it's just started to grow here with the girls, right? So having this space for them to come in, feel safe, and start enjoying jiu-jitsu, having a more graduated girl, we have a graduated girl that helps teaching the classes as well. So that was very good. That started to make it a lot of growth. And the other thing that's helping them a lot is that I told them that I was going to bring you here too. So they've been training, waiting for you, Gabby. So let's hope when COVID give us a chance, you know, and Australia opened the borders again. We're waiting to have you here with us. That would be amazing. This is an amazing place, and it will be a privilege to be, because I've been here for about 20 years, and I always brought many friends and people that I related with, because I always thought that was nice to share the culture and the values of jiu-jitsu, rather than have a person here for 3 hours for seminar and then, you know, goodbye, but also stay, teach seminars, teach a couple classes, train with us, go have a meal with us, you know what I mean? Just that cultural mix is so good, so important, and the person get to know the place as well, etc. So looking forward to have you here hopefully soon.
Yeah, just like you had a role model to look up to when you were, you know, coming through the belts of jiu-jitsu. I think a lot of girls at this gym, you know, when Eduardo's been mentioning you and stuff like that, they look up to you in the same way, and you know that maybe their goal is not to be, you know, a world-class athlete, but they still see somebody that's achieved so much and done you know, amazing things within the sport and just in life in general, and you know that's motivating and inspiring for them. So yeah,
it'll be amazing. It'll be amazing. They will love that. They can't stop talking already. So after the podcast, oh my God, they'll send you the ticket.
I'm really excited to go. I think Australia is amazing. My sister lived there for a while, so I'm really excited, and I like this thing that you were saying about going and sharing a little bit of your culture, getting the people to know you a little bit more than 3 hours of a seminar. So this is one of the things that I like it most there's a girl now, she's from Germany. She was in Brazil for 2 weeks because of the COVID. She was training there with her husband, and it was the same thing. She get to know me because I was there coaching. And now that I'm here, the first thing that she said was like, you have to come to my gym. You have to pass some time here with me because I want my girls to know you. So it's really nice how the jiu-jitsu community is, because once you start knowing each other, the girls start knowing each other, it's so easy to be in contact, to be attached, and to, because we have the same mission, that is make jiu-jitsu even bigger, is try to pass our knowledge and make more people start training. And this vibe that jiu-jitsu has, it's amazing.
Absolutely.
It's very unique compared to a lot of martial arts, I think. I think this is one of the only martial arts where people genuinely enjoy helping and sharing information. I think it happens in other martial arts too, but I think it's a lot less inclusive. There's people that are of a high level in other martial arts, judo, boxing, kickboxing. They kind of spend time in their own kind of niche groups and things like that, but it's just not as open and friendly. And I don't know if that's the Brazilian lifestyle that's kind of shared that kind of vibe and stuff like that, and the roots of Brazilian jiu-jitsu and how that's kind of developed. But yeah, it's something unique, I think. It's there's always ego and like mental difficulties for people like you're talking about with the heavy guys having to learn how to train with you properly and stuff like that, because nobody likes losing. But I think it's even still it's so much more inclusive and sharing and friendly and open than a lot of different pursuits or sports or martial arts. Yeah.
And this humility as well, Gabi, of someone coming and say, "Oh, can you show me this move? How did you submit me here?" I think that's so beautiful. Arrogance is one of the worst stupidities in the world. You know what I mean? You already know everything. That's the way you're going down. If someone, regardless the belt, if they submit me and I haven't seen the position, and I will ask them for sure, regardless. I don't care. I just want to get better. That's why I'm doing this. So I think the Brazilian culture is a bit like that.
It was really nice that you were saying about this, because I teach a seminar in São Paulo before I came here, and I was showing a different move, and the professor is a 4 degrees back black belt, and he was doing the move, and then in the end of the class he was like, "Hey, this is the first time that I see this," and he was saying this for his students. So everyone was impressed, because it's hard to someone show up with something completely new. But for me, it was amazing, because everyone was like, "Wow, he didn't know," And in the end, he was like, "Doesn't matter the color of the belt. If someone has something new to teach, let's be ready to learn."
It is, and you know what? I appreciate this in life. If I go somewhere, I ask a question to someone, even outside of jiu-jitsu, and the person, instead of bullshitting and try to say something they don't know, they just tell me, "I'm sorry, I don't know, but I'll find out." I love that. I already won me, completely. Just saying.
It's always nice to deal with. Just one point, going back to something else, but we were talking about coaching and stuff like that before, but I think this is something that you can look at in general in terms of life and stuff like that. Everything that you take on, whether it's new or not, is a skill. And when you're trying to improve in things, the more time you spend doing that thing, the better you get at it. But the thing that a lot of people approach any pursuit with is they have this idea that because they are good at something else, or they put a lot of time into something else, that somehow that's transferred into the new thing. And I think that's something that is important to kind of note, because you talked about it a bit with the coaching stuff, is no matter how good you think you are, when you start something, you're a beginner, you don't know how things work. And as long as you're open to receiving information from everywhere, and similar to the story you told about your seminar, you're always going to be able to learn new things and improve. But particularly when you're starting out, if you come with the attitude that you're already half full in terms of information, you're already going to close the doors to a lot of things that you need to take in to get good at the thing you want. So I think that's just particularly to do with coaching. That's something that for me has been like a very difficult kind of thing. And I think something that we talked about before about just having a different mindset to the general population is something that's really made it difficult for me to kind of take in the lessons that I need to learn for jiu-jitsu and becoming a better coach and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just really interesting to hear your point of view on everything, and yeah, it's nice to listen to on all the points. Yeah.
Gabi, you just moved to Ireland right now. That's a big move, right? What are your plans right now? I know you're gonna say you're gonna come to Australia, and here I'm selling Australia again, right? But look, just let us know how are your plans now for the near future. You know, like you plan to stay in Europe right now. You're working in a gym in Ireland. Like, what are your plans right now, please?
I was thinking about tournaments when I come here because it's really hard in Brazil to make enough money because the real is not that value. So I want to go to Worlds No Gi. I want to go to Abu Dhabi Pro, World Pro. And now that they have the Worlds with Gi as well in December, I want to go as well.
How about Pan Pacific in Melbourne?
I don't think it's bringing the same money, Eduardo.
It's 3 big tournaments are still going on this half of year. I want to be able to do it, and being in Europe just it just help to make more money or money enough to go. Each seminar that I'm able to teach or private classes, I can make much more comparing with dollars and with euros to be able to go for these tournaments. So regardless on having a really good training, partners training, and a really good coach here, my initial move was come to be able to compete. I still want to do Worlds as a black belt. I messed up the last time because I broke my wrist and I wasn't able to compete. So I really want to be able to compete at World as a black belt to see how it's going to be. I think I have chances on winning, so that is why I think if I push myself hard enough, I can make it. So this is the goal of the year. Try to go there and be a world champion as a black belt. And being in Europe just make me more connected with my coach, with Ricardo, because he's in Portugal. Helped me to get enough money to travel. Now I just need to wait about the COVID situation. If America open the borders, I'm gonna try to go to Worlds No Gi in October. But I don't know if I still need to do quarantine in some place, then it's gonna be hard to go because of money. And then I'm just gonna wait until December, and hopefully the borders will be open and I can go there and compete. So this is the plan for this semester. It's like try to make enough money to go for those tournaments. And I hope by the end of the year, I will have my black belt gold medal and I will be able to go to Australia.
Please. That would be amazing. Well, I'm pretty sure that we have a common friend that used to be your student, really good childhood friend of mine, Renato Perdigão. Kiss for you, my friend. Yeah, kiss and a big hug. And he always talks really well, highly about you, Gabi. He says you're an amazing coach. So we're here waiting for you. I can see you now. We will connect it really well. I can see you're a great person. You know what I mean? Like, it'll be an amazing journey to have you here with us. Thank you one more time for your time. I think it'll be super inspiring for everyone and for all the girls that are doing jiu-jitsu here in Australia. And we're counting to have you here as soon as we can. Your final considerations as well, Anton's final considerations.
Just one thing, like before you go, if there's anything that you do like to help with like the money stuff, if you sell any courses or anything like that, do you want to mention them or?
Yeah, like I wrote an ebook on how to improve your flexibility, like routines flexibility to improve your guard. Because I think when you can, if you can be more flexible, you can range much more, you know, like, so I developed 3 routines. I wrote in English and in Portuguese. There's a YouTube videos, and I'm selling these programs to help, of course, raise money for the tournaments.
Where can we find them? Where can we find Gabi?
We can, if you can send the links to Eduardo, we can put them in the description of the videos and stuff as well.
Nice, thank you. Yeah, for sure. In my website, I made a website. Unfortunately, the website is in Portuguese, but the ebook part is in English. I still need to work to put the website translate to 2 languages, but this takes a lot of time, and I'm not that good at technology, so I need help.
We all need help.
I just want to say thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Renato, as well, Brucey. He's a really nice friend. Because of him, I get to know you. So I can't thank enough. He's a really nice guy. He's amazing with me. And he gave me opportunity to be his coach. We trained together as a private classes, and he was really open to learn different moves. I'm just super grateful about him putting you in my life. Thank you for the opportunity of sharing a little bit of myself. I hope we can meet each other soon. It's going to be a pleasure. It's really nice to see how Jiu-Jitsu grow up and how there's Jiu-Jitsu everywhere. And can't wait to go.
Thank you, Gabi. Much appreciated. Have a lovely journey, and I wish you gold on these comps that you're going. All right?
Good luck. Yeah.
All the best. We're together.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a
All
good
right.
day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.